Farmer Darren Van Ruden is trying to rev up his business and get out of a slump brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. More than 2,000 farms in Wisconsin have shut down since US President Donald Trump took office, and without urgent government support, many more businesses in America's dairy heartland may also face a similar fate. That's making Van Ruden and other voters reconsider their support for the president, whom they helped win the state in 2016.
I think the number of farmers and even citizens are starting to realize that maybe getting somebody from outside the system isn't necessarily the best, but we also have to have good candidates to make that difference.
Despite the rising number of failing businesses, Republican and Democratic lawmakers haven't been able to reach an agreement on a stimulus package. And on Tuesday, Trump called off negotiations until after the elections.
Nancy Pelosi is asking for $2.4 trillion to bail out poorly run, high-crime Democrat states, money that is in no way related to COVID-19. We made a very generous offer of $1.6 trillion, and as usual, she is not negotiating in good faith. I am rejecting their requests and looking to the future of our country. I've instructed my representatives to stop negotiating until after the election, when, immediately after I win, we will pass a major stimulus bill that focuses on hard-working Americans and small businesses.
That sent stock markets into a tailspin as investors worried about the fate of industries that are desperately in need of support. Among the distressed businesses are airlines, which are hoping to receive $25 billion in government support soon. Unless they get the money, American Airlines and United Airlines say they will cut 32,000 jobs. Industry representatives say as many as 100,000 aviation workers are at risk of being axed over the next few days. To their relief, Trump changed his stance a few hours later. He called on lawmakers to approve government support for airlines and small businesses.
The House and Senate should immediately approve $25 billion for airline payroll support and $135 billion for Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses. Both of these will be fully paid for with unused funds from the CARES Act. Have this money, I will sign it now.
But just like their politicians, many Americans are also divided over how to fix the economy.
I'm not a big socialist. I don't like socialism. And they seem to be pushing more socialism on us than anything else. And instead of having people being accountable and working for their stuff.
Many of those opposing government handouts for people and businesses are Trump supporters. Analysts say Trump is mindful of their views and may be unwilling to commit more money to prop up the economy, at least until after the elections. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Well, for more on this, Christian Lawrence joins us now from New York. He's Senior Market Strategist at Rabobank. Great to have you back with us, Christian. Now, a bit of an emotional rollercoaster for investors over on Wall Street. After closing sharply in the red on Tuesday, they've now rallied after Trump's latest tweets on this proposed stimulus package. So what's your reading of the situation? Has he just given up on the idea of a broader package and is instead calling for individual measures?
Well, I think it could be one of two things. Either he's become very frustrated with the whole process, and that tweet yesterday was really just voicing that frustration, or this is part of a negotiating tactic, as we've seen from Trump before. But what we do know is that households, particularly low-income households that have been hit the hardest by the corona crisis, they are desperate for help from the government. And of course, the markets are desperate for some clarity, for some stability and for some clear messages.
They sure are. Now, one measure that Trump is really keen to get US lawmakers to agree on is another $25 billion for America's struggling airlines. Now, we know they've already received $25 billion after Congress passed that measure back in March. What happens if airlines don't receive these funds?
Well, we know that they're going to enact more in the way of job cuts, which, of course, is terrible for the people involved, and it doesn't bode well for consumption in general. But it's very difficult because we also know that even if we give $25 billion to the airline industry, it's going to be a very tough time ahead. People still don't want to travel at the moment We're moving into the flu season. There's concerns about rising cases, as we've seen in Europe. And the bottom line is that even with the stimulus measures, the demand probably isn't there yet. So it's a very difficult situation, and it's going to be a difficult year when I look to 2021, for the airline industry for sure.
Now, you mentioned that households desperately need some money as well. So Donald Trump has tweeted about that specifically. Now, he's calling on lawmakers to approve $1,200 stimulus checks for individual Americans. Why is that important for the US economy?
Well, the bottom line is not all jobs have come back. There are still a lot of people still out of work, and we know a lot of the jobs that were lost during COVID won't come back. Now, households got a lot of help from the CARES Act, but that ran out at the end of July. And we've started to see people eat through their savings. And now the issue is that as we look forward, we know that consumption is going to slow quite dramatically unless lower income households do get some more support. The recovery in the labour market alone certainly isn't enough. And the US is a consumer-based society. So we need those people going out and spending. So it's absolutely critical for the health of the economy. It's critical for businesses. But of course, the big issue here is that, yes, the Democrats would be on board with handing out those checks, but they're going to want something else in this bill, particularly heading into the election. Just giving Trump a nice boost to equities heading into the election isn't politically the clever thing to do. Although, of course, from an economic perspective and for the good of the American people, it would be the right thing to do. So we have politics at play here, and that is a shame.
We sure do. OK, Christian Lawrence from Rabobank, a pleasure as always. Thank you.